Hey there, Optimized Self Ninjas and Ninjettes. As always, this is Justin Archer, aka the Sensei, coming to you live from, well, I guess the Optimized Self Dojo. Okay, it's just my living room floor, but hey. Anyways, for those of you who are first-time viewers, welcome to the show. That is all about rediscovering your health, upgrading fitness, and or optimizing your wellness, all while having fun, kicking ass through lifestyle design. We basically crowdsource knowledge and, more importantly, experience to find solutions to people's health, fitness, and wellness problems. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then you're going to definitely want to stick around. Coming up on today's show, got a lot of fun stuff. We're going to be talking about how to realign your hips and femurs, much like you get your tires aligned on your car, how to modify your diet to support your health/fitness goals, and also make sure that it's not holding you back. Hint, it most likely is what I find working with people. Let's see, relieving back pain by altering daily habits, the point of diminishing returns, and the immense value of the Optimized Self Dojo. All this more coming up on today's show. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to a few members of the Optimized Self Dojo. So let me take this intro off. And there's me. There's my lovely wife, Anya.
Hi.
There. And behind me is Carmen. She's not quite sure what to make of this. This is Carmen. She is a 2-year-old female, roughly 50 pounds, yes. Brindle pocket pit bull. We are fostering her. If you're in the San Fernando Valley area or somewhere around there and you're looking to adopt, she is a very, very good girl. And so, yeah, we're fostering her for a while we're here in Southern California. Anyways, Anya and Carmen are going to go for a walk, but I just wanted to say hi. Oh, she's really playing it up here for the camera. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get adopted. This is adorable. So anyways, they're going to go for a walk, and they might join us back later. Bye, girls. Bye. Love you both. Thank you. We will. All right. And before I forget, because I know if I go any longer, I'm going to forget to put this lower third in. And yes, although Anya did make me a lower third, by my notes, I gave her the wrong dimension, and it was backwards and like pixelated. So we will fix that soon. In the meantime, we will have to do with this little basic one that I create every show because I can't seem to automate it or save these settings, which is a bummer. But the good news is it only takes a few seconds to get started. So that's me, Justin Archer, aka Sensei, and that's where you can find me over at optimizedself.ninja. Now, I'm glad you guys got to meet both Anya and Carmen. That was great. Let's see, a little bit of news and house cleaning before we get in today's questions. We got 2 from people that were kind enough and also had the initiative to take the Optimized Self test. So always appreciate that. And then also a YouTube comment to respond to. Just checking over my notes here. Let's see. Changes. Yeah, we're fostering Carmen. Also, I'm gonna kind of tech freak out just for a quick moment. Got some new RAM and hard drive to make the laptop. I am doing these live streaming YouTube live events, Google Hangouts, whatever you want to call it. Make them better. Hopefully the fan won't kick in as much. There won't be as much background noise. If there is some air, it's because I have the window open. It's hot here. But yeah, that's been cool. For those of you that saw the other show and the live training, there's been a lot of cool stuff happening around Apple's recent Spring Forward event with Apple Watch and Research Kit and all kinds of really cool things. That's techno, gizmo, gadget stuff like that. But really the reason I'm most excited about it is because of the possible benefits that it brings towards health, fitness, and wellness, testing, measuring, tracking specifically. All right, so let's see, that's been going on. What else? I have been having more people say that they would like to come on the show with me, and this is something that I initially invited people to do, and it was a good idea in theory, but as I get more requests, what I'm finding is because I usually record these, like I'm recording this right now. Today is Thursday, 3:05 p.m. I usually record Mondays and Thursdays if I'm on schedule, and then post via email Tuesdays and Fridays. Again, that's assuming I'm on schedule. Tuesdays, I didn't film Monday, I filmed actually Tuesday, so I was behind. But the issue is that I record these usually on the same day, but they're at varying times. And because viewers come from many different areas all over the world, it's very hard to figure out time slots, to match up our schedules. So that's been proven difficult, and it's a shame because I want to have people here on the show. The other issue is spending too much time on any one topic. I'm still trying to get it kind of a balance for that. But here is a solution that I have found easier is if you're interested in coming on live with me and spending some one-on-one time putting our heads together and figuring out a solution for whatever it is that you're currently struggling with, then what I would recommend is that you join the Optimized Self Dojo. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. But if you want to learn more, just head over to optimizedself.ninja, scroll down below the video player and the big orange red button to take the Optimized Self test. And below that, you'll start to see everything that's included inside the dojo. And the reason I recommend everyone to join this is a couple reasons. One, being inside the dojo allows me to serve you better. It allows me to provide you more value via what I refer to as the Optimized Self Arsenal, which is a collection of tools, guides, and resources, the most important things that I've learned over 13 plus years of being in the health, fitness, wellness, let's call it making bodies better world. The things that I share, the most important things that I share with my one-on-one clients and those that keep me on as a retainer. So all that is inside of there. There's also a built-in accountability and support group via private Facebook group. And then we also do weekly live trainings every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that you can count on, and that's easy to schedule for people to come on. I just had a member of the Optimized Self Dojo, a fellow ninja, join me just this past Saturday, and it went great. So yeah, I would love to have people on there, but yeah, I think the best way to do that is to join the Optimized Self Dojo, because again, I truly believe that's where I could offer you and others the most value. And the other is simply looking at time for value. You can get in right now on the dojo, and the price is always going up. Every membership that sells, the price increases by $1. And right now, I think you can for $17, $18. There's more members in there than that, but you can at least get in for $17. One-time fee, not every month. That will change as we go later into the year, into next year. It'll probably turn into a monthly, annual, quarterly type of subscription. But right now, yeah, you can start for $17. Now, you could have one-on-one time with me, just you and me, not in a group setting or anything like that. But I do charge $300 for an individual session. Guaranteed, you're going to get $900, $1,000 plus value out of that session. So I still love doing those. But as someone who's looking at it from both sides, I'd recommend anybody to, start off with the minimum effective dose, which is being a part of the Optimized Self Dojo. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck there because you're going to get continual support and service from me and from others versus just an individual session with me. You can also do a retainer, but those start at monthly $750 a month. And I hope this doesn't come off as I'm saying, I don't think I'm worth that, because definitely, like I said, I always look to deliver 8, 9, 10 times the value of whatever I charge. But I'm telling you, you will get so much more value out of Optimized Self Dojo membership, especially right now that it's a one-time fee, not a recurring fee. Yeah, you're going to get so much more out of that. That's where I would point you to whoever you are watching. All right. So check that out. It's a no-brainer in terms of investment. Let's see. Also, too, if you've contacted me in any way, excuse me one second. I'm going to close this window because it's already getting hot in here. I can hear the fan going. Okay. Like I said, hopefully when I put a new hard drive and RAM in there, that'll help take a little of the grunt work off the CPU, and there'll be less of the fan spinning. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, if you have contacted me in any way, email, messaging, Facebook, on Twitter, on text or anything, I'm in the midst right now of kind of switching over systems, both by which I mean physical computer, and also putting together a new email workflow for myself, I'm into time management and all that stuff. Please don't take it personally if you go, hey, he hasn't responded to my email. It's probably because it got dropped through the cracks. If so, I apologize. Please forgive me. But feel free to, and I tell this to my wife Anya, and she does in the best way. Nag me. And I know it's maybe a mean way of saying it, but remind me, okay? Stay on me, say, hey, send me another message. It could be the same contact way or another way, and say, hey, I sent you this. I just want to make sure, did you get it? Or was I clear on this? Because if you haven't heard back from me within probably 48 to 72 hours, definitely 72 hours, it's probably because I didn't see it, or somehow I glazed over it, meant to get back to it, and I never did. All right. Hopefully that doesn't happen too much, especially as I transfer this new email workflow. That's why I'm doing it. But if I do, I apologize. And yeah, just keep on me, okay? Also, while you're at it, feel free to criticize, I can't say it. Constructive criticism, but criticize me nonetheless. If there's something that you don't like or think that could be better on the show or inside the dojo, please let me know, because I'm always striving to make it better and provide more value and be of more service to you and others. All right. So I think that covers all the kind of house cleaning. Let's get into the first topic. And of course, as always, we're gonna do the Optimized Self Show drinking game. Every time I switch a topic or answer a different question, take a drink of water to make sure I stay hydrated. You can join me, make sure you stay hydrated. A little fun fact about hydration: roughly for every 5% you're dehydrated, I believe it's a 30 or 35% in cognitive performance that's declined. So yeah, drink up, buttercup. Okay, now that we're hydrated, let's get into Chris's question. So Chris took the Optimized Self test. He is also a returning questionnaire, or questioner, not questionnaire. It's not like he's a form of questions you have to fill out. He is a questioner from Optimized Self 19. So Chris, thank you for following up. For those of you that haven't seen episode 19 of the Optimized Self show, go ahead. I will link to it in the show notes below over on YouTube, in the YouTube description, so you can check that out. But again, thank you, Chris, for following up. He took the Optimized Self test, and the foundations of health that he scored lowest in was movement, which was a 4, followed by exercise, which is a 5. This is a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Nutrition, 6. Then hydration, environment, and mindset, 7. Stress, 8. Sleep, 9. And breathing, 10. Inside the test, I always ask people, how do you know what you know? By which I mean, how are you determining these scores for yourself? How are you self-evaluating? What is the ruler, the measuring stick or device that you're using to say, yeah, on breathing, I'm a 9 out of 10, or on hydration, I'm a 6 out of 10, or whatever. And he says, having a good posture and a life free from pain are the main factors that I use as measuring stick, because it ultimately impacts every other aspect of my life and determines the quality. Yeah, Chris, I would definitely say this is very true, especially from my 7.5 years being a posture alignment therapist. Definitely, but just try not to get too fixated on posture alone. That's something I always warn people of, not necessarily saying that you are doing that. And I may reword this question in the future. This question is, how do you know what you know? That's great about posture, and I definitely in agreement with it. But how do you know, for example, you determined your movement was a 4 out of 10, or your nutrition is a 6 out of 10? And by which I want to make sure everybody understands, it's not that I'm calling you out and saying, "Ha, liar." No, it's not that. I have no reason not to trust Chris or anyone else who enters these answers in. It's more so, how do you know what you know? What are you basing it off of? Like if someone says, "Hey, why do you eat the way you eat?" You know, I can say, oh, because I've done an elimination diet, which I've paired together with a food journal and a Cocoa Pulse test. And, you know, I've had various tests, not full extensive blood tests, but some tests that have supported the other evidence that I found in the elimination diet and the Cocoa Pulse test and these things. But if it's like, hey, you know, because I feel this way and everything, with all due respect, that's not good enough. And until evidence is brought forth to prove otherwise, it's not that I trust your word, not that you're a dishonest person, but you know, they're insufficient findings, I guess, if that's the best way I can think of it, is you need more to kind of back it up. All right, so that's, if I wasn't clear on that question, Chris or anyone else watching, sorry. I'm gonna look to reword that. See, I'm already criticizing myself. It's great. So anyways, moving on with Chris's question. Sorry, I went on that tangent there. I always ask, you know, when it comes to your health, fitness, and wellness, what is the biggest problem or issue that you struggle with or have in the past? And Chris says, I would say that my nutrition / food choices have been an off and on struggle for me. I'm very consistent and disciplined, and other times I just give up and binge. And I can sympathize with this, because probably not so much with nutrition, but I would say for me, sleep and stress, probably sleep. I'm that way. So how Chris just said how he is with nutrition and food, I am with sleep. Sometimes I'm really, really good, and then other times I'm not, you know, so it's kind of goes like this. Right now, pretty good. If I had to say out of 10, 7, 8, you know, there's still some room for improvement. Other times I am a 9 or 10. Other times I'm like a 2 or 3. So to Chris, what I would recommend is to check out the Optimizing Your Nutrition module found inside the Optimized Self Arsenal, which if you watched just before this, I talked about. The Optimized Self Arsenal is a collection of tools, guides, and resources that I've put together, and it's housed inside the Optimized Self Dojo. So again, if you want to learn, I don't want to keep shamelessly plugging myself. A little bit I do, but I'm going to hold off. I already said at the beginning of the episode, so you can click on the timestamp and go back there and watch it. But if you want to learn about everything that's included inside the dojo, just go to optimizedself.ninja. It's all basically spelled out for you, and it'll take you through the steps on how to join. But yeah, Chris, inside there's the Optimizing Nutrition module, which I think would be fantastic to help you optimize your diet, your nutrition, and your diet. They are different, and help you, I think, be more consistent with your food choices. All right. Also, in response, let's see. He also said that you, being me, I guess, were very helpful in your response today. This was in episode 19. This is the only issue I currently have at the time. I will definitely check out your video recommendations. When he says this is the only issue I currently have at this time, just so nobody's in the dark here, what he's referring to is this question or comment that he asked via YouTube. Said, hey, Justin, do you have a video that addresses exercises to correct a hip that is turned inward on one side? What muscles do I need to strengthen to laterally open the hip up? So Chris already sent him that answer. For anyone else that's interested, is going, yeah, how do we do that? Go watch episode 19. You don't have to watch the whole thing. There's timestamps. You can click to the part where I address Chris's question and I answer it there. So Chris has that information. But the other thing too, another reason that I would recommend Chris, anybody else watching who's in a similar boat or same boat as Chris, to join the Optimized Self Dojo is because every Saturday we do live trainings. Okay, that's where I'm hosting live, and everybody knows it's at a scheduled time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Saturday, unless it's like a holiday or some special event. And people can join me live on video. That's what I was referring to earlier, and that's easier to have people come on video with me because it's scheduled, you know when it's going to be. And this coming Saturday, which if you're watching this on Friday, it'll be tomorrow. What's the date? Let me see if I can give you a date. Let's see, today's 12th, 13th, 14th. That'll be March 14th, 2015 at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be doing a live training, and me and my lovely assistant, Anya, my wife, who you just met, and maybe Carmen, I'm sure she'll help out. We're going to show you how to use a miraculous piece of equipment that's called the multi-positioning tower. And this is amazing, not amazing, but amazing at neutralizing femur rotation and much, much more. It is one of those pieces of equipment that if someone said like, hey, you're only allowed 10 things on, on a deserted island, it'd be one of those 10 things. So yeah, Chris, definitely I would recommend join the dojo, join us in the live training. You'll get your money's worth just off that one live training, in addition to all the other stuff that comes along with the being a member of the dojo, which again, just head over to optimizedself.ninja and you can learn all about that. And that brings me to, I guess, the final point with Chris, because he said he's also interested in an invitation to talk with you on your show. And again, Chris, if you didn't watch the beginning of this, I'll try to summarize. My initial thought was to have people on the show with me, and I still may do that. But it's very difficult because I shoot these usually on Mondays and Thursdays, and they go out Tuesdays and Fridays. They post Tuesday and Friday. But to schedule people coming on the show with me, since everybody's in different parts of the world, it's much, much easier to get people onto the live training calls because it's always 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and they usually run for about an hour to an hour and a half. So I would love to have you on that, as well as being a part of the dojo gives you access to all the tools, guides, and resources. So if I refer you to something, for example, like the optimized nutrition module, everybody else is like, what are they talking about? As being a part of the dojo and having access to all the modules and all the other tools, guides, and resources, you're like, oh yeah, I know where to find that. I know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's what I recommend is join the dojo, be there for this coming Saturday's live training. We're going to talk about the multi-position tower, as well as anything else that anybody else deems as important, but that's going to be the main focus, which will be great for, again, whether you have external femur rotation or internal femur rotation. Heck, I've seen one on one leg and one on the other on people, but that would help you tremendously. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you be there. And in the future, I would love to have you on the show with me. All right. So with that, thank you, Chris, for your question, for following up and taking the initiative to take the Optimized Self test. You're awesome. And let's move on to the next topic. But of course, before we do, I'm going to take a little water break. Okay. So let's see. Sarah sent an email after joining the Pasha Guy email list. For those of you that don't know, I used to, technically, I still do have another website called thepashaguy.com, which was kind of, came before. I guess you can say optimizedself.ninja is the successor to thepashaguy.com. It takes everything that was in there, postural alignment therapy, treating chronic pain with postural, corrective postural exercises, and then adds to it in terms of lifestyle design type stuff, factored in the other foundations of health: breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and all that stuff. So she signed up through the Pasha Guy email list, but she also took the Optimized Self test. And I'll go over this with you briefly and then read an email that she sent in. All right, Sarah, ready? So the foundations of health that she scored lowest in was sleep and movement, which are 3, followed by hydration, nutrition, exercise, environment, which are tied at 5, breathing at 6, and hydration then hydration and sleep, which is 6. That's probably a typo by me, sorry. Mindset 7, and stress 8. Her self-administered scores were determined by how she feels. I mentioned this when I was addressing Chris's optimized self-test results. Is how you feel about something is good, but I always recommend to you to have some other backup evidence: test, measure, and track. It's so easy to do nowadays, kind of with the quantified self movement. There's apps. It doesn't have to be digital. There's also manual ways to do so, but there's various apps inside the Optimized Self Dojo. There is a list of apps I refer to as the kick butt list of self-optimization apps. These, man, if I had access to these when I started this journey towards self-optimization, it would have saved me, gosh, thousands of hours and thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of hours and tens of thousands of dollars. It would have just saved me a lot of time and effort. So use what we have at our disposal, which is technology, to test, measure, and track things. Because I always tell people, if you're guessing, if you're just guessing, no, sorry, if you're not I can't even remember the saying. If you're not testing, you're just guessing. There we go. And whatever gets measured gets managed and usually improves. So let's see. She also states that she struggles with pain and motivation. She didn't post any questions in the Optimized Self test, but there was an email that I got from her. Says, "Hi Justin, I'm Sarah from Warsaw, Indiana. Haven't been to Warsaw, Indiana, but I've been to Warsaw in Poland because my wife, who you met earlier in the show, she's from Poland. Oh, I thought she was coming over here. From a suburb, Ciechanów, which is outside of Warsaw. Oh, there she is. Sweet. Say hi to Sarah.
Hello.
She's from Warsaw, Indiana.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was saying that Poland. And here's Carmen. Where is she? And they make a return and guest appearance. All right. You're stealing the spotlight.
Yeah, come here.
Sarah's going to be paying attention to you because you're so adorable. All right. Live TV, everyone. All right. Live YouTube, anyways. Sarah writes, right now I'm suffering low back pain that worsens at night. A little background on me. I've been a paramedic for the past 11 years, but have been in EMS, emergency medical services, for 20 years. I started running 5Ks when I was 39. I am soon to be 41. I've been through the ringer in the past 14 months, starting with a right shoulder surgery in February 2014 that resulted in shoulder injury in February 2014 that resulted in surgery in September. The MRI didn't show a rotator cuff tear. Lucky me. Yeah. I was unable to work out like I needed to during this time. I've always had episodes of lower back pain because of my job and history of female issues, and it usually goes away with stretching and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Shortly after my surgery, though, I began having pain in my left lower back and along the left side of my tailbone. I saw my chiropractor and it helped relieve the pain somewhat for short periods of time. In December, I had a complete hysterectomy, and for about a week, I had no back pain, but now it has come back in spades. I've been to my chiropractor and have been seeing a massage therapist, both of which have told me that my hips are very tight. I am just now able to begin working out again, mostly the treadmill and yoga. And after I'm done with my workout, I have hardly any pain, but a few hours later, the pain is back and gets especially bad at night. I have tried sleeping in several different positions with pillows between my knees and under my knees. Again, I've been taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and using icy hot, but nothing seems to help. I have not slept well since the pain started, and now I have less sleep with the issues of having a hysterectomy. I need some help. Any ideas? Thanks for your time, Sarah. So Sarah, yes, I do have some ideas, and thank you, Sarah, and everyone else for sticking in while I read that. Just want to make sure we got the full story. So yes, Sarah, I do have a few ideas for you. I hope you don't mind me making a comment on this, and it is just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt. Definitely from the work you do, kind of how you word this email, I would say, you're very ambitious, maybe like the type A personality, which is very respectful. I would say I am too, but kind of a recovering one, if that makes any sense. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it, but maybe less now than I was, just a few years ago. And that you're always looking to try to do more to fix whatever the problem is. In this case, some lower back pain and other symptoms. And again, if that's not a fair assessment, then never mind what I say. But if it is, maybe you're watching this nodding your head and going, yeah. So taking all that into consideration, I would say change is not always something you do. It's sometimes something that you must allow, and that's especially true for kind of the go-go type A personalities. And what can I do more? Can I try harder? That type of thing. A lot of times for people like that, and again, been there, done that myself, A lot of times it's, okay, maybe doing more and working harder isn't the answer. Maybe it's just making different choices or allowing certain things to change. And I also find this true with caretakers. And I mean, you said you're a paramedic. You've been into emergency medical service for 20 now. I would definitely categorize you or anyone in that type of work as a caretaker. You know, you look out for your fellow human before yourself, and that is amazing, and it should be applauded, and I do. But a common thread, and again, this isn't for every type of person in the caretaking industry, is they always put others before themselves. And what I always remind people, this is also true, I think, of mothers. They have that kind of instinctive to care for others, to put everybody's needs, wants before their own, is I always remind them that you can't give away what you don't have. So if you're trying to help someone be healthy and you're not doing it for yourself, then you gotta, it's kind of like that deal on the airplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before helping someone else beside you who's having trouble, that kind of thing. Now, outside of the psychology and everything, so after reading this email and reading the test results, I would suggest a couple of things. Number one is focus less on exercise and more on altering each of the foundations of health, by which I mean your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and then and only then, after you've done those 7, your exercise. Not to mention other things like your environment and mindset, but those foundations of health, I think, are important. And just so I'm not, just kind of putting it out there and go, good luck with that, let me give you some specifics, some actual actionable items that you can take away from this, okay? So number one, in terms of breathing, I would suggest spending 15 minutes total per day practicing conscious and diaphragmatic breathing. And if you're not clear, maybe you already are, but for those that aren't clear, what I mean by that is breathing east to west. So if you put your hands here on your sides, right above your pelvic bones, your hip bones here, breathing in should expand outwards on your hands. So like that, almost like if you were to blow up a balloon, it expands laterally out to your side. So if you're like this and blowing a balloon, went like that, that's what it should feel like, okay? So that's diaphragmatic breathing. Not just your belly going forward and back, although that's a start, but breathing east to west. Now, why is that important? Actually, let me finish the description, then I'll get to why that's important. So you want to spend 15 minutes total. It doesn't have to be all at once. You don't have to carve out 15 minutes, but 15 minutes total per day. Practice that conscious diaphragmatic breathing. The reason being is to restore proper breathing mechanics, because if you're not breathing like that, I guarantee where you are breathing is in your secondary breathing muscles, up in your chest and shoulders and neck, and that's going to tighten everything in your upper body, but also it takes away from blood and oxygen to your lower back, as well as to the rest of your body, right? You're not getting as much blood and oxygen to that area. And also, if the breathing is happening up here and it's not happening in your sides and in your lower back, well, the average human takes, I think roughly 30,000 breaths per day. Well, that's 30,000 tiny inhale, exhale movement that's going on, that could be going on or should be going on in your lower back. That's really acting like an inside out massage to your lower back. And so not only is it happening up here and you go, man, I'm really tight up here. Well, no wonder you're doing, 30,000 tiny shoulder shrugs instead of having that breathing mobilize and kind of warm that lower back tissue, as well as get more blood and oxygen to it. So that's how it can negatively affect, poor breathing mechanics could negatively affect your lower back and contribute to the symptoms you're feeling, all right? Also, your diaphragm ties into your hip flexors, so it'll help loosen up your hips, your lower back, which we already touched on, as well as your pelvic floor, okay? So all important areas for the things that you stated before that you're struggling with. So that's breathing in a nutshell. Hydration, I would suggest drinking half your body weight in ounces of water per day to basically put out your body's internal fire, otherwise known as inflammation, and maintain the benefits you get from exercise. A lot of times people do exercise because they want to feel loose and limber, and that does feel good. And then they'll report saying something like you did, which is, I do exercise XYZ 1, 2, 3, whatever, and it feels good for a little bit, and then it goes back. And I always ask, well, how much water are you drinking? And usually get vague answers like, oh, well, sometimes people are honest and say, not really enough or not much. But a lot of times people say, oh, a lot of or plenty of. And I get a measuring cup out and I go, where does it say a lot of or plenty of? Because I'm unclear as to what that means. And I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. I'm just simply stating that a lot of and plenty of, they don't really mean anything. They're vague adjectives, and it's relative. If you're drinking a thimble of water for the past year and you drank a cup of water, you're drinking significantly more water than you previously were. Still not enough, but more. So I would say, yeah, take your body weight, divide it by half, and drink that minimum half your body weight in ounce of water. More if you have a job where you have to talk a lot, like I am now. That's why I'm drinking water regularly. Or you do some type of manual labor, like it sounds like you do. If I forget if you said if you're back to work, but definitely more than. And if you're working out, because then you're sweating out water. So half your body weight in ounces of water, bare minimum, and then more from there if need be. Also, you want to have sprinkle some pink Himalayan salt or sea salt on your food or even in your water to make sure you absorb it. And by absorb, I don't mean like bloated, but so that the water gets dispersed through your muscles, tendons, ligaments, and tissue properly. Because if you do exercises, stretches or strengthening, and you feel good, you feel like slack has been fed to your body, but then quickly it retracts back. Well, the reason being is because your muscles, by being chronically dehydrated, are more like beef jerky than they are a nice supple filet mignon. And we all know what happens if you try to stretch beef jerky. Either nothing happens or you get a rip or a tear. And I know you don't want that. Instead, you want to hydrate that meat, that beef jerky-like tissue, back to something that's nice, supple filet mignon that can be massaged, tenderized, and that can actually, be altered in terms of length and tension. All right, so that's why hydration is important. Let's see. In terms of sleeping, to improve your sleep, a lot of people don't think of sleeping as an activity like they would, go and play soccer, but it is an activity. So what I'd recommend is warm up for sleep. And by which I mean, bring a better aligned body to bed with you. And probably the simplest way to do this, without going into too much detail, is going into static back. And I will include a link to how to get into static back. It's pretty simple, but I'll include a link in the show notes below over on YouTube. But basically, you lay down on the ground with your legs up at a 90-degree angle. So if here's excuse me, I can't see what I'm doing. If you see, here's your lower body, your thighs, and then your shins, right? And your legs will be resting on a chair, ottoman, something roughly about 18 inches, a little taller if you're taller than 5'8", but usually 18 inches does well for most people. And you're gonna rest in that position for 5 to 10 minutes before bed. You just try even 5. And during that time, all I want you to do is practice that conscious diaphragmatic breathing that we talked about earlier in terms of how to optimize your breathing. But what I really want you to focus on this time is your breathing. So I want you to keep your mouth closed, breathe in and out only through your nose at a approximately 1 to 2 inhale to exhale ratio. So for example, 3 seconds in and then 6 seconds out. And that ratio will actually help calm your central nervous system, help you de-stress, and help you get to sleep faster, sleep sounder. And because you've spent that 5 to 10 minutes, like I said, start with 5 minutes in static back, what you're doing with your legs up at that 90-degree angle is you're putting your pelvis in a neutral position. You're unloading the weight and tension off your lower back. You should actually feel, as you're there, your lower back kind of flatten and melt into the ground, maybe almost a warming, heating pad-like sensation in your lower back. Should feel, pretty good the longer you're there. And then you're using the floor as a giant ruler to remove rotation out of your pelvis and out of your torso while simultaneously extending segmentally each vertebra. So you're actually, for example, a lot of us have these postures where, the body's kind of rounded forward. And then segmentally, as you're there, due to the weight of your body, gravity, and opposition to the floor, it's gonna ratchet back up, right? Because here's the floor behind you, and your ear, shoulder, hip, those load-bearing joints, well, your ear's not really a load-bearing joint, but your shoulders and hips are in alignment. So it may seem overly simple or simplified, but it's a very powerful position to put your body into that will allow you to bring a better aligned body to bed and a calmer body and a calmer mind when used in conjunction with that 1 to 2 inhale to exhale ratio to kind of detune or calm down your central nervous system. All right, so that's sleep. As far as nutrition, I would say eliminate all kryptonite foods from your diet. Now, what I mean by that is eliminate things that harm you. Now, how do you know if something is harming you? I would recommend, just as I did to Chris in the previous question, I don't know why I pointed up, there's nothing up there, but I answered this. Oh, I know I answered up. I'm looking at my show notes, and above is where I had some notes for Chris. That's why I did that. But just like I recommended to him, is inside the Optimized Self Dojo, and you can learn all about that, or just go to optimizedself.ninja and learn everything that's included inside there. There is a module called Optimizing Nutrition, and in there I go over how to properly go about elimination diet to test to see what foods you are sensitive to or intolerant to through an elimination diet. But go through that. You can use also in conjunction with that a Cocoa Pulse test. You can also get a blood test to test against certain foods that, again, that may be causing systemic inflammation throughout your body. But this is something that I commonly see people trying to do stretches, strengthening exercises, things like that to get themselves better. And it's like, hey, you're doing good here. Oh, but then you go eat a food, and I don't mean junk food like potato chips or Twinkies, but it could be something that you think is good for you, like eggs or yogurt or milk. And come to find out that those people are actually, their body has inflammatory responses to those foods. And understand, the only way you know about that is if you test it, okay? A lot of people say, oh no, I'm fine on that food. It's like, again, I ask, how do you know what you know? If you haven't tested it, then let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's assume that you are. I always assume on myself and anybody else, like when I work with one-on-one, I'm just gonna assume that you are, you have sensitivities to some of the common culprits, and it's not to say that I don't trust someone if they say, oh no, I'm fine on that food, but it's what does fine mean, and a lot of times when we go through elimination diet and we eliminate those foods and then we bring it back in and they notice how crappy they feel after having that food, and then they take it back out and they go, oh my gosh, what they thought was fine, they actually now call that like feeling like shit. And now they go, oh my gosh, I feel bleeping awesome. Like, oh my gosh, and trust me, I've been through that myself. So what I would recommend you do is, and shameless plug here, but join the Optimized Self Dojo. You can learn all about it over at optimizedself.ninja. But join the dojo, and inside the dojo, this private Facebook group, is a link to a module called Optimizing Nutrition. And inside I show you, step by step how to go about figuring out what foods you may be sensitive to or intolerant to, and how to remove them from your diet and create a diet, not that I think is right for everybody, because what's healthy for me is going to be different than you, is going to be different from my wife due to epigenetics, where our family's from, where we grew up, what we normally ate, all that. But a diet that is, optimal for you. So I have no stock in any one particular diet. I'm only interested in results. And that's what I try to show people, is how to find what is an optimal diet specifically for you. I know that was a really long answer, but I think it deserved it for that. So that's on nutrition. Let's see. Stress. Again, we kind of talked about this before bedtime, but you can do this anytime, is really practice that conscious diaphragmatic breathing at a 1 to 2 inhale to exhale ratio, which is in and out through your nose, to really help calm your central nervous system. And you can do this in as little as 3 breaths. And it's amazing because I've tested it with live heart rate feedback, doing like push-ups, or maybe doing something that makes me, I think of something that makes me angry or something. And then as little as 3 breaths could drastically reduce your heart rate. Your breath is actually the quickest way to affect your stress levels. All right, so that would be something that you have control over. It's a lot easier to act your way into feeling than feeling your way into acting a certain way, meaning that you can change your breathing and then change how you feel, rather than just tell yourself something like think positive or don't stress out over this, which I'm not saying is bad advice, but it's a lot easier said than done. Instead, I'm saying do the breathing and the feeling will follow very quickly, literally as little as 3 breaths, okay? So it's basically near instantaneous. As far as movement, I would say practice some natural development movements like head nods, rolling, rocking, crawling. Think about what you did when you were, a newborn. I always get this mixed up. Infant, toddler, or toddler, infant, then to, kid, and hey, you can walk and everything. But do that. And I actually demonstrate some of these. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago during a live training, but a great resource is originalstrength.com. It's either .com or .net, but Google it, Original Strength. They're really great at demonstrating. They have a good library of these natural development-like type movements. I won't bore you with showing you how to rock and crawl around, but it's literally, I'll show you one quick one. It could be something as simple as, going back here and just rocking forward. And we've all seen kids do this, like before they can crawl, they kind of do this, and they usually kind of giggle and laugh. This is what they do before they go into a basic crawl, okay? That will really, really help trigger a lot of muscles that will just respond to your load moving over my shoulders, my hips, or your shoulders and your hips in this case. Really, really good for that. Also that cross pattern when you crawl, opposite arm, opposite leg. And people are always like, hey, I want to walk better, or this hurts. And it's like, if you want to feel like more like you did when you were younger, move, granted with caution, but start trying to move more like you did when you were younger. Make sense? Last but certainly not least comes to exercise. I would recommend using the lower back pain routine linked to inside the welcome email that you initially responded to. So I know the email you sent me was in response to the welcome email that I sent you. So in there's a link, I think it says exercise video tutorials. And inside there, do the lower back pain routine. I think there's 5 or 6 exercises, I think, in there, and follow those in order. There's video tutorials for each of them, and that'll help out a lot. Let's see. Also, as you go through all this, I know that's a lot to digest. The great thing is with the magic of technology, this is streaming right now, recorded live, but it's recorded and you can watch it back, repeat it to your heart's content. I definitely think repetition is important in terms of learning anything new. So that's great. But as you go through all this and you start to apply it in your day-to-day life, keep in mind that your body is a stimulus response organism that's responding to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. So it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, not your best intentions. So exercise is important, but you're more than just exercise. Nutrition is important, but you're more than just nutrition. And those are the 1 or 2 that people usually focus most on. But total health is accumulative. And like I said, your body's responding to stimulus 24/7 without prejudice. So, if you do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even 60 minutes of treadmill and yoga, or a mix of them, well, that's good. I'm not saying don't do that. But more importantly, it's what are you doing the other 23 hours? That's going to have a much greater effect on your overall health and how you feel. Again, take into consideration breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, exercise, all that, than simply the time you spend exercising, okay? So that's why I said early on, focus less on exercise and more on living better, really. Let's see. Oh, and last but certainly not least, again, one more shameless plug. But yeah, if any of this sounds of interest to you, or that you go and apply it and it helps, I would definitely recommend joining the Optimized Self Dojo. It's a private Facebook group that I put together. Inside, there are various tools, guides, and resources, the most important things that I've learned over 13+ years of helping people in terms of health, fitness, and wellness, the things that I share with my one-on-one clients and those that keep me on as retainer. There's also a built-in accountability and support group. And then every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do weekly live trainings. And this one, we always talk about a number of things, but there's usually one or two main topic focus items. And this week, we're gonna be talking about the multi-positioning tower, which is amazing at feeding slack to your hips and the rest of your body. And I know you mentioned in your email that you're really tight in your hips. So I think that would be very beneficial, not only to your hips, but as it helps neutralize your pelvic position, it has this positive domino kind of chain reaction north and south of the body. So it'll help segmentally extend your spine. It'll help remove rotation out of your hips and pelvis. It helps remove rotation out of your legs, so your hips, knees, and ankles, that kinetic chain. It can be properly linked back up again. So a lot of good stuff. Check that out if you're, want to learn more about what's included inside the dojo, what's included with a membership. Just go to optimizedself.ninja. You can get started right now for, I think it's as little as $17 or $18, one-time fee. With every membership that's sold, it is increasing in price. So I do recommend people get in sooner rather than later, and eventually it will turn into a annual, quarterly, and monthly membership. But right now it's just a one-time fee. All right. So anyways, I think that covers it. So Sarah, thank you very much for your email and for taking the Optimized Self test. And let's move on to our final topic, question, comment, whatever you're gonna call it, of the day. All right. But before we do, drink some water. I just talked. How many words was that? I don't know. Yeah, if you have a job that like me right now, where I have to talk a lot, you have to drink significantly more water than half your body weight in ounces of water. I think I just talked about half a cup of water out. This is why I like live trainings and having other people on the show with me, because then they can talk and I can listen. I don't have to do all the talking. Anyway, okay, final topic. Yaniv, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Yaniv Orzlowski. Ski? Is that Polish? I should ask my wife. I hear ski and I think Polish. If you aren't, Yaniv, I apologize. But my wife is Polish, and when we ever go to Poland, I hear ski, 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 and I think Polish. Anyways, it's gotta be Slavic though, right? I don't know. I'm terrible at these things. You think I'd be better being married to someone born to America, international. We travel a lot. I'm not, unfortunately. Anyways, Yaniv asks or comments, as is more appropriate on YouTube, on a video that I put up a while back called Correcting Common Posture Deviations, Shoulder Rounding. And for everyone who hasn't seen that one, I'll link it up in the show notes below, which is the description area of YouTube. Yaniv asks, what's diminishing returns, and do I do the exercises in the morning or evening? So the first question, what's diminishing returns? Diminishing returns is really, at what point does more time and effort not yield significantly better results? So for example, if something was going to improve results 80% and it took you another day or two to do it, then yeah, maybe that's a good investment in terms of time and energy for the results you're gonna get back. If it's gonna take you 1 or 2 days and you're gonna get 4% back, better results, me personally, I don't think that's worth my time or effort. I don't care that something is perfect. I want it to be as close to perfect as possible, but without having to spend too much time. So maybe on a graph, let me make sure I can see myself. If here's your time or energy, spending more, but also your results are keeping up with it. So there are 2 lines kind of going dee. But then at a certain point, let's say here, your time and energy keeps going up. Sorry, I'm gonna use this finger. Time and energy keeps going up, and your results kind of level off. Maybe they're going up, but barely at all. So that's kind of evened out here, but your time and energy keeps going up. It's where those lines start to part that I would say that's your point of diminishing returns. Now, how it relates to the exercises that I recommend in the correcting common posture deviation shoulder rounding is I would recommend doing the exercises on there 1 to 2 times a day, or whenever it's convenient for you. The reason I recommend morning is because if you do the exercise in the morning, you're then bringing a better aligned body with you throughout the day. It's the reasoning behind that. But if you can't get to it, do it whenever it's convenient to you, but do it every day. Now, I would say 1 to 2 times a day is good. Any more than that, you're gonna start noticing, for doing it 3 times or 4 times, you're not gonna notice much more results than if you only did it 1 or 2 times, okay? So 2 times at most, but 1 or 2 times every day. And do that for a week or 2, and then please, follow up and let me know how you're doing in terms of progress and if there's anything else I can do to help. And what I would recommend you to do, even if you contact me then, so I'll recommend you do now, is to take the Optimized Self test. And basically what that is it's a quick questionnaire. It takes a few minutes to fill out, but it'll help you kind of review, self-reflect, evaluate, whatever you want to call it, yourself in terms of not only exercise, but other parts of your life, like breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, environment, mindset, that kind of stuff, as well as exercise, and help you form higher quality, more specific questions. And it'll also give me the information so that I could better advise you. So basically it's you're helping me help you better. And it's really easy to do. Just go over to optimizedself.ninja. You'll see a logo, a video player. We'll see episodes of the Optimized Self show playing like this. And then under that is a big red, orange, yellow button. It says click here to uncover what's holding you back. Click there, put in your email address, and you'll be sent a link, not a leak, but a link to the Optimized Self test. Fill that out. I'll be notified of it, and then I could respond to your questions that you leave for me inside of there in an upcoming episode of the Optimized Self show. All right. So Yaniv, thank you very much for your question. And also let me know about the Polish Slavic last name thing. I'm curious. All right. Anyways, thanks again for sending your question or comment. You're awesome. And with that, take another drink of water, and we'll cut to kind of closing questions, comments, outro. So let's see. Let's see if there's anything special to share today. Not too much, except for repeating a little bit of what I said at the beginning of the show, and some things that I always say at the end of the show, which is, if you haven't already, please head over to the Optimized Self YouTube channel, simply youtube.com/Optimized Self Ninja, or maybe you're already watching this on YouTube. Either way, please like this video, share it with someone that you think would benefit from this information. Also tell them, hey, you can ask Justin a question, and if I can answer it, I definitely will. If there's someone I think who is better able to answer, I will definitely refer you to them. Being in the health, fitness, wellness communities for 13 plus years, I've met a lot of people, many of which I am continually kind of studying and learning from because they know more than me in certain areas. So yeah, share with them. I know they would appreciate you thinking of them, and I would appreciate it. You'd be both of our heroes. And also subscribe if you haven't already to the Optimized Self Ninja YouTube channel. That way you're kind of kept up to date and abreast of all the recent happenings and going-ons inside the Optimized Self.Ninja ecosystem, for lack of a better term. All right. And then, of course, if you found anything on this episode or any other past episodes, I think there's 19 before this. Yeah, we're on episode 20. If you found anything there helpful and you kind of want to take it to the next level, you're like, all right, what's the next step? Maybe you've asked me a question you've written into the show. I would strongly encourage you, and I say this, I jokingly say shameless plug, but I would say, yeah, there is no shame here of me saying, please join the Optimized Self Dojo. You will get an immense amount of value out of it, especially right now with it being a one-time fee. You can start it as little as $17, $18, I think. Every membership, the price increases. So if you're on the fence about it, join now rather than later. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So I'm confident, granted biased, but I'm confident that you'll be happy with what you find inside. It's organic too, not meaning like you can eat it, it's healthy for you. Please don't eat my Optimized Self Dojo. No, by that I mean it's always growing, both in terms of members, but also in terms of the content. I host all of the content through shared Google Docs, and people, if you join, can comment on them, make suggestions, and I can change them on the fly live. I don't have to send out, hey, here's a new downloadable PDF for this or that. It's live, literally. Someone can make a mention and I could type live, and if you're watching the screen, you can see the new content come out as I write it, and all my typos. Thank goodness for spell check, right? So there's that. There's various tools, guides, and resources. The most important stuff that I've gathered, like I said, from 13 plus years, spending tens of thousands of hours, tens of thousands of dollars, basically testing things out, learning, researching, applying, most important, basically in the hopes of helping you and others sidestep some of the biggest pitfalls and even some of the smaller ones, and see some even that people have no idea about in terms of trying to rediscover their health, upgrade their fitness, and or optimize their wellness. Basically, the whole point of the group is to crowdsource information and, more importantly, I say knowledge, and more importantly, experience. So we're all putting our heads together as a collective group to support one another in becoming the absolute best version of yourself possible, so then you can go out and gift the world with whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that no one else can provide the world like you can. That's what I want. That's what we all want for each other. And obviously, to do that, you want to be the best version of yourself. You want to have the best health, the most energy, the most cognitive performance. You want to be the strongest, the best in shape. All of that. That's really what everything inside the dojo is about. So if that sounds of interest to you, if you want to learn more about it, go to optimizedself.ninja. You can sign up there, and I would love to have you as a member. All right, I think that about covers it for the day, so I'm going to switch over to the outro screen here. Anyways, thank you all for joining me. Appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you inside the next video. Until then, take care and be a good human. I should really have an outro song here, right? Like dun 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 dun. You just watched the Optimized Self Show.